Hello, everyone. Welcome again to another edition of Find Ways to Win. My name is FitzgeraldStephens. I appreciate you guys stopping by yet again and joining me in your homes and your cars, your businesses, wherever part of the world you are. I'd like to give a shout out to the new subscribers as well as continued subscribers. Thank you very much for your support. And this channel is, in fact, growing, and I certainly owe all that to you. Want you guys to consider hitting that like and subscribe button and hit the notification bell so when I do come on, you'll be abreast of what I'm trying to do right here. The title of this message is called The Presence and Voice of a Father. Fathers are so vital to their children's lives, not only from the very start to even up into adulthood. Fathers matter. So we want to be specific on them, focusing on what their role is in their children's life, and and also in addition into society's life. I'm going to, excuse me, talk about a couple things. The importance of having fathers involved in their children's life. An involved father has a direct impact on their children's present and future development. Fatherhood is linked to better outcomes or even a measure of their child's well-being from cognitiveness of development, educational achievement, self-esteem, pro-social behavior. They really, really matter. Now let's define the presence of a father. Generally, the presence of a father is someone who is actively present with that child, with involved in the life of that child. Now we know in the society that we live in, with a huge divorce rate, sometimes that father is not involved. But that doesn't exonerate you, sir, from spending active presence in your child's life. It is vital. You ought to be making contact with your child every single day. And definitely, and more of that contact should be with you as a person, as opposed to as opposed to picking up a phone or doing a FaceTime or video conference. That child needs you. Now, we know we're going to talk about it. We already talked about some of the benefits of having a father in, which is ever more increasingly important, especially as the way the society is right now. Let's also give some examples of the presence and along with the voice of a father in their children's life. For example, for balance, it helps them balance out. Not too hot, not too cold, not too angry, and not too joyous and things. So the balance is very, very important that father gives to their child or their children. Confidence. The more of the presence of a good father and the voice of a good father in that child's life, the more confident that child is going to be. Let me also go ahead and say this. When I say child, I'm talking both your sons and your daughters. It helps to undermine any self-esteem issues they may have. Peer pressure is very, very vital and very, very, how can I put it, shaping of a child's development. So you want to make sure that you're imparting into your children your values, your constitution first. It starts with the home. We often hear about things going on and where they're talking about what so and so is teaching at the schools and what the state is teaching at the schools. Maybe they're teaching directives and agendas that are totally against your constitution, Dad. But if you're properly teaching those children at home and they know your presence there and they know your voice is there, more likely they are going to be insulated from things that simply go against who and what you are. Your children are arrows, and you are shooting them at a target that you want to be. You're giving them directions, despite their personality and their particular bent. Here's a one that's kind of important. Their mental health. They're less likely to suffer from depression or loneliness or being unsure of who they are in life in a world where we have different philosophies actually defining who they are and what they are and what they're supposed to be. That's your job, Dad, to go ahead and insulate your children for us for that. It is the best chance for them to have a stable relationships, because one day they are going to grow and they are going to get relationships, and with the father basically guiding them towards that, they can, and especially that father is in the home along with the mother, they're seeing good relationships, and they're seeing about exactly what they should aspire for. It is my belief that children are watching you sometimes more than they are listening to you. So you want to be sure that you're setting a good example. You want to be sure that you're really respectful to their mother, and you are really helping out and you're taking an active role. Now, I'm not talking about just the role for you getting out there to providing resources along the matter like that, and that's your job. You're supposed to provide for the house, but they also need your time. It is definitely a fact that children value your time and your presence, and much more than they value the gifts and the money that you can give, and along those lines. And it's very, very important. In other words, they rather have you than what you buy them. Okay. And then another thing, what you want to do is it helps a father really helps their children choose the right path in life. There are many voices out there, dads, that are calling, that are whistling and singing the siren songs for the attention of your children. And some of those voices are going to go totally against your bent, totally against what you want to do. So you want to be involved. You want to be involved with what they're doing on the internet. You want to be involved with who their friends are. You want to be involved in showing them how to choose the right type of friends and how to be the right type of friend. And another thing, and this list is not all exhaustive. Another thing, it gives them a respect for authority. It gives them, now, a respect for authority is vital. Everyone answers to someone. You have to teach your children that. And the first respect they learn from of authority is from their father. They look at that from their father, from their mother, but especially the father. I remember my mother. She was primarily disciplinary in the house. She was the one that gave the spankings back in the day when I grew up. That was quite common, but from all people, all races of things. But my father, I never remember my father putting his hand on me whatsoever. Never remember it. All my dad had to do was speak. It was something about his voice that instantly uh, galvanized me to get in line, to galvanize me not to speak when he's speaking. I had a degree of respect and also a degree of fear. I did not want to cross my dad. And while his presence would automatically come in and light up the room and change the atmosphere of the room, depending on how he was feeling, depending on how he was doing. But if he was on his game, which many a times he was, we came in order. I remember one time, for example, my father used to have this old school Colt 45. I don't know where he got it from, but he simply told his three sons, if he looked at it, he showed us where he kept it, which is under his mattress, and he said, "Do not ever touch this gun." And guess what? We obeyed that. We didn't get in there, although we would pick the mattress up sometime and look at it when he wasn't gone. But we had more fear of disappointing my father's words or disobeying his words than we had for our desire to get out there and our curiosity to do something that touch something that he told us was forbidden. And so a father generally are their children's or their child's first hero. I mean, when hero worship, someone you look up to, someone you admire. Man, we thought Dad was the strongest and the smartest and the most fed, and I was grateful for him to be around, and I respected and reverenced my father. I addressed my father in terms of yes sir, no sir, and I did that even as young, and now that I'm an older person, I still call him. address him as yes, sir, and no, sir, because I highly, highly respect my father. And even right now, I'm going to listen to him. I know he has my best interests in mind. And as many as your fathers also have their best interests in mind. Now, those are some of the benefits of having a father having a father actively involved in a child's life, and I do mean actively. Fathers should actually be seeing their children every single day. Well, you say, Fitzgerald, sometimes that's not practical. Figure it out. Make it happen. Get involved. Get involved with them. Take them for a drive in the car. Take them to get some ice cream or something. They're teenagers, get in there and ask them how to play the video games. Continually connected for them. Get them to talk. Get them to understand that you are there. You are for them. You want them to win. You want them to prosper, and you are concerned about every facet of their well-being. And for those of you who are raising teenagers, sometimes teenagers have a habit of shutting you out. They get in the point where they don't want to be crowded by the dad, and dad, you're just kind of old, and you're doing things that that's not of this times and everything. I understand that, but you got to shoot that down with the quickness. You have to let them know, hey, I am your father, and as long as I breathe, as long as I live, I'm always going to be concerned and always going to be in your life. You can always count on me to be there. Now, that's the good part of the presence and voice of a father. Let's talk about some of the not so good parts. The absence of a father. The absence of a father. What does the absence of a father do in the development of that child? What does it do to the life of that child, both in childhood, even up into adulthood? Well, it hinders development from infancy all the way up through from infancy rather to teenagership, even up into adulthood. Somehow they're always going to have a hole in their heart that father wasn't there. They may suffer from anger issues. They're more likely to suffer from depression, eating disorder, engage in earlier sexual activity, addiction formation, difficulty building and holding on to loving relationships. These are just some of the effects of an absentee father, and it does matter. Here's one I would like to talk about, and I looked many of these stats up online, in particular using Google. Well, there's a known disorder called the fatherless daughter syndrome. You know it as daddy issues. It is defined as emotional disorder that stems from issues with trust and lack of self-esteem that leads to a cycle of repeated dysfunctional decisions, especially in the area of relationships with men, no matter that woman's education level. She could have achieved the level of a high earning professional, doctors, lawyers, executive vice president, even started her own company. But if the father was not present in her life, there are going to be underlining emotional issues. No matter how hard they try to hide it, eventually it's going to come up to the decisions. Eventually it's going to come up to the surface, should I say, and often with disastrous results. She may achieve all these great accolades, but still make very foolish decisions, and especially in the levels with men. She doesn't really know how to pick them, because her father didn't give her that love, and the father didn't give her that stability. So she's out there trying to find it from anyone, maybe that would be nice to her, speak a couple of good, nice sounding words to it, and until that is overcome, she's always going to be at a disadvantage. High crime neighborhoods are characterized by high concentrations of families abandoned by their father. When you can just see some of the things in society that a lack of father in the presence, should I say, and voice of a father has created. How about this one? 75% of long-term correctional facility inmates are from father-absent homes. 83% of rapists that were motivated by displaced angers are from fatherless homes. 85% of kids who exhibit behavior disorders are from fatherless homes. 85% of kids involved in state institutions are from fatherless homes. This is having a this is having a terrible negative impact on society. And let me be emphatically clear. It doesn't make a difference your race. It doesn't make a difference your culture. It doesn't make a difference your creed. If a father, if you are not actively involved in that your children's life or your child's life, if you're letting your gifts and your money raise your child, if you're letting them substitute for your presence, if you're one of those guys can't get along with their mother and everything, and you are deciding to stay away from your children, or better yet, let someone else impart into your children things that only your role should be, you are putting your children at a terrible disadvantage, and they will resent you for that. They will resent you for that. Often children want the love of their father so much they would do practically almost anything to get it, if anything to get that attention from their father, including acting up and acting out, just to get their father's attention and get that male voice and that presence attention. It is just that vital. Fathers are sorely needed. Now, I know things that are involved sometimes hinders that relationship. I know that. I can realize maybe the father is incarcerated. Maybe the father is on military assignment. Maybe the father lives out of state. I understand that, but regardless of whatever your assignment is in life, or whatever your doings in life, the most important role that you have is the role of a father. You are training that child to be the next productive citizen. You are training that child, by your absence, that father really don't count. He's not really needed. He doesn't love me. He doesn't care about me. He can go to the hot place. I don't really need him. He's never been there for me. Notice that I didn't say anything about what the father is supposed to give them. Children don't really care about the gifts you give them, Dad. They want your presence. They want you. They want a bond with you. They want a relationship. They come from you. They are connected with you. And one of the worst pains, emotional pains, and sometimes even physical pain that you can give to your child is your abandonment, your lack of voice. Now, there's a reason why I put both the presence and voice of a father are vital. Sometimes a father can actually be there. He can physically be in at home, but his voice is silent. He's not imparting. He's not talking to those children. He's not leading those children in a way that they should go. It's almost like he just says, well, okay, your mom will tell you, or go ask your mom, or see if it's okay with her. Man, dude, that child don't need that. You're the head of that home. They need to hear your voice first. They need to know that you got their back. They need to know that they have boundaries that you have established, and that they cannot cross these without consequences. They also need to know that if they are following the rules that you have established for them, which I believe you want your children to be a great person, a great man, a great woman, you're gonna expect them to perform in the way that you are saying, to perform in the way that's going to lead them into production. Listen, mold over those crime statistics that I said again. This is very, very real. Do you know that the prison industry, which is nothing but for profit, it's not for correction, it's not for rehabilitation. It's not anything that it's for profit. It's literally a form of slavery. Yes, Mr. Young, I am on Facebook, and I do share some of my videos time to time. Okay, and so it's a business. Do you know that sometimes they build prisons based on these type of statistics? They figure if there is a high concentration of fatherless homes, they know that both those children, both the daughters and the sons, are eventually going to come to them. You're talking about an industry that has quotas. They are required the states are required to give them a certain amount of quotas and keep occupancy rate. Imagine that. So that lets you know right now the criminal justice system, it needs to be highly reformed. And the reason it's not getting reformed because there's too much money to be made in it. There's too much money to be made in the child support system. There's just too much benefit for people who are getting paid millions and millions of tens of millions of dollars. Everything from police, everything from the court system, everything from the prison industrial complex. All these staff are really dependent upon fatherless homes. Now we want to make a difference into our children's life. We want to change the involvement of the children's life. If they're not talking to you, there is a problem. As long as the child is talking, I don't care how many times they go over certain matters. I don't care how many times they always seem like they all want up under you. All the times they seem like they want to hang out with you, go fishing with you, spend time with you. Don't get bored with that because you have a problem when your child stops talking to you. You have a problem when your child doesn't want to interact with you. How can you possibly know what's going on in the life of your children if you are not there? Or if you're there, you don't give a voice. You negate your authority. You turn it over to the coach. You turn it over to your wife or the mother of the children. You turn your responsibility over anyone else. And your children are angry with you for that. They want you. No one can substitute from being a father. Often we hear about blended families, and in this day and age, there are many blended families. Actually, it's quite normal. One of the things that when you are dating a single mother, or you marry a single mother who already established children, those children let you know real quick, you're not my dad. You can't tell me what to do. And you know what? They're right. Even if you're sitting up there paying all the bills, and you want the best for them, they will come up with that. You're not my dad. You can't tell me what to do. And that is a perfect good statement, which is one of the reasons many men do not want to get involved with a woman who has children. They want to start their own family where they can have the ability to influence, and they can have the ability to shape them. Even men who even at the fact that the mother decides to get involved with someone or marry someone, you're going to find that man is very protective of his children. He wants to know what's going on in the household, what's happening with them. What those are my children. As a matter of fact, he don't want you to call. He don't want those children call you any. Definitely don't call your the dad. Because as far as he's concerned, he's their father, and he's right. So blended families promote a challenge all their selves, and sometimes it can be very difficult. A challenge. Sometimes a child will actually sabotage the mother's relationship if she's not involved with their father. Why do they do that? Because they want their mom and dad back together. They see you as an invader for the most part. Yeah, there are some exceptions. Particularly if you get that child very young, maybe like a couple of months, years old, or like 1 to 3 years old, where you can shape them, but still you are not the father, and you can never try to replace that. You can never do. More likely you will always be deemed as an outsider. These are true words that a lot of people have talked about on their streams, and you want, and father, don't you want don't you want a young adult, or your child who is part of you, who was created by you, who has your DNA, who has your temperaments, who has your physicalities, and if don't you want to impart in them? Don't you want to shape their lives? Hey, you have got to get serious about your child. Okay, you may feel in your heart, and don't ever let it come out of your mouth. Well, having this child was a mistake. Don't ever let that come out your mouth. You chose to lie with that woman. You knew by having sex, you knew that this could produce a child. Okay, now that you got one here, okay, you deal with that. You're forever connected with them. Get involved and stay involved in your children's life. Let your voice ring true. Let it be, that out of a million people walking around, let me be more realistic. Out of 100 people walk off in a room, then when they hear your voice, they know the voice of their father. Let it be, where they're glad and they're glad to spend time with you. Also, I wanna give credence to the mothers, the single mothers. Often the mother is going to stay there with that child, even if the father is absent. I like to salute you. I like to thank you for being there. At least they have you in their lives, but you're not going to replace the father. You're not going to place the father. You need the help. You need the help of that father in raising your child. You need help. You need to employ the help. Hey, sit your differences aside. Put your different viewpoints aside. You guys need to sit down and talk. Hey, I may not like you, and you don't like me, but we have a child together, and we need to come together in harmony for the benefit of that child. That child needs to see us respecting each other. That child needs to see us not bad mouthing each other. You don't have the right to lower that child's viewpoint of how he looks at me as his father, and I'm certainly not going to do it with you. You need to have that conversation. You need to keep continuing to have that conversation. You need to make sure that they're on one accord. If you're one of those who say, hey, go talk to your father, that's a good thing. If father, if you said something to that child, mom, you need to know that if that child comes to you, which they often would do because they think they can get their way with you, you need to back up their father and what he said. That's gonna create balance. That's gonna create stability in the life of that child. That's gonna create to him that if mom says something, I know I need to do it. If dad says something, it's no sense in me going to mom. As a matter of fact, there are severe consequences for me doing that. The best environment to raise a child or children is in a two-parent home. That is the ideal situation. A two-parent peaceful home where children are seeing both their mom and dad loving each other, respecting each other. The keeping the family unit, putting things first, and having things in decent and in order. These are very, very vital to the mental well-being of your child. There are sometimes adults in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s still feels the effect of having a good father in their life. They are still reaping those benefits. Usually, those men and women are going to be more productive citizens for the most part. They are going to be more mentally and behavioral sound. They are going to go out there and contribute to society in positive ways. They're going to make an impact in the marketplace. They're going to respect authority, and they're going to have stability, and they're going to have more confidence. Then subsequently on the other end, the same ranges, 20, 30s, 40s, 50s, even 60s. Those who didn't have a father, there's always going to be a hole. There is always going to be something going on with them. Just something's going to be missing. There's going to be a part of their heart that is empty, that only that father could fill. And because he neglected his duties, because he neglected his duty, that don't mean that the hole is not there. And only that father who left that family, who's not involved in that family, only he can repair that hole. And so people will often try to fill the absence of a father by maybe drugs, by maybe different sexual escapades, by maybe overworking or doing a number of things that can be disastrous to their lives. they could actually have a good woman. They could actually have a good man who really wants to build with them and who really wants to grow with them, but they don't know how to appreciate and respect her and even cover her properly or speak to her properly. Why? Because because they didn't have a father imparting these ideas. They have that angered hold. They projected onto a person who had nothing to do with it, who had nothing to do that. This is often the case. Maybe you come from a background where you had two parents in the home, and you're blessed to have that, and you saw the benefits, and you think everybody else was raised by that. They were not. If you're looking to get involved in a relationship with someone, especially if it looks like it's going down the road serious, you want to ask questions about their relationship with their father. You want to, and this is both male and female. If a woman doesn't respect her father, man, she's not going to respect you. That is a total fact. If a young man doesn't respect his mother and his father, he's not going to respect you. He's going to be unstable. He's going to be in player mindset. He's going to be unpredictable. He is going to be a person who runs at the slightest challenge. He throws his hands up, when there's a disagreement within the household. I'm talking about disagreement, primarily talking to the mother of the children, or better yet, his wife. He's not going to understand a lot of things because he didn't have that father role model in his life. You never outgrow the need in your life for the presence and the voice of your father. My father is almost 80 years old, and I still depend upon his counsel. I still like to hear his voice. I mean, I still like to counsel with him, just to talk to my dad. I know my dad has my best interest in mind. He's always had that, and even if there's sometimes I didn't think so, but my dad, I know my dad uh, loves me as well as loves my other two brothers, and I know he has nothing but good things that he wants to happen to his sons. He makes it a point to talk to his son. My dad is on the phone calling me sometimes more than I'm calling him, and just talked to him this morning. And I remember sometimes, like when I would go visit him. Often when I go visit my father, I never let him know I'm coming. I'll just show up, and often I get there late night when I finish when I arrive there, and when my father sees me or any of his other two sons, his face just lights up like it's a Christmas gift, and I can see the love in the man's eyes for me. I can see the admiration in the man's eyes for me, and hopefully he can see it in my eyes towards him. Fathers matters, ladies and gentlemen. They do matter. Now we get, for those of you sitting out there, yeah, well, moms too. Listen to the title again. The voice, the presence and voice of a father. We can make another stream about you later on, but only men can raise properly men. My mother, bless her soul, she's not here, and I wish she was. My mom was tough on her boys. She was a disciplinarian. She had to be. She's raising three sons. So she dealt with us, and she dealt with us in love and toughness. I didn't want to cross my mother, but I remember I remember one time. Oh gosh, I was probably about 16 or 17 years old, and I said something to mom, and she didn't like it, and she went and she swung at me. She went to hit me, and I just caught her hands in midair, and I just pulled them down. I think that was a turn. It wasn't a disrespectful way, but it was a turning point as far as I heard. Like, I'm dealing with a man now. This is not a little boy. I need his dad to stay as far as that. And so that she did the best she could. And many of you mothers are doing the best you can, but you're not a man. You're not a father. I see some of this foolishness around, like on Father's Day. Some women have this silly notion to receive Father's Day cards. That's so stupid, and it's not even worth addressing. You will never replace the father of your child. You will never replace that. And get this, nobody else will. That child will always have a longing for their father. That child will always have a longing for that male presence and that male dominance in the bass in the voice that, lady, you simply don't possess. You have vital roles in other areas, and the father can't take the role of your area. But the fathers, in the absence of fathers and the lack of the voice of fathers, is causing disasters in society the world over. Fathers are sorely needed. Father, I will ask you to get involved in your children's life. You may want to consider cutting back on a few hours, at the job. You may want to consider cutting back a few hours within your company and invest those in the life of your children and your family. Invest that time making sure that your children are good. And this is not a one-time thing. This is not a thing that you go ahead, oh, they're good right now. I stopped by, man, he looked like he was cool. She told me she was fine. And we went out and had a great picnic. And we went out and had a great dinner. We went kayaking, or we went swimming, or we got in the plane and took a trip together. Those things are good, but it's not a one-time occurrence. It has to be done constantly. A son and a daughter know that they have to know that they can come to their father. Their father's not going to bite their head off. Their father's not going to get angry. Their father's not going to lay hands on them or do any of that archaic, cruel stuff. But their father's going to listen to them. Their fathers, yes, they may be a little disappointed, but they know they can trust their dad. Because if you don't, what do you want to push him to? The gang leader? Oh, he'll be glad to step in your place. What do you want to push him to? The player or the pimp or the child trafficker? Oh, they'll be glad to take him under their wings, and they will turn their lives upside down simply because you wasn't there to impart. Yes, it is just that vital. Now, often television makes fathers look like we're buffoons, make fathers look like they're not needed, and make it feel like the woman, hey, she can run it all, and she don't. You often hear, I don't need no man, and dudes, if the minute a woman come out of her mouth and make that statement, you run, not walk, you run away from her. And you don't look back, because you're dealing with rebellion and stupidity on a level that's not even worth trying to explain. Of course, you may not need a man. That's cool, but the child does. Okay, that's fine. That is fine. And so get you someone you can work with. Get you someone who comes from similar backgrounds, similar cultures, similar ways of thinking. If you're gonna bring the gift of a child in this world. You say, well, Fitzgerald, I didn't know any better then. I was younger. I was more naive. I was not wiser. I didn't have anybody to tell me what I need to know. I didn't have anybody to tell me like you doing now. Tough. The child is here. Okay, figure it out. This is not like some toy that you take back to the department store when you don't know how to deal with it, or you go out there and you try to change that child. You try to impart in that child. They are loved. They are valued. They are appreciated. They matter. They're a part of you. They can always depend upon. They can always depend upon dad to be there. They can always depend upon dad to support them, provided they're doing right. Dad is going to correct. Dad is going to be tough. This world is hard, ladies and gentlemen. And mom, when that dad is saying something to those children and he's being tough on, especially his sons, he know this world is not no playground. This world does not respect nor tolerate weak, docile men. This world respects men who have backbones, men who have conviction, men who stands up for things, men who can take discipline and are under discipline, men who know how to follow authority, men who know how to build their own businesses and leave a legacy in future, both financially and spiritually, and through their example and through their voice. It's just that critical. The pastor, the rabbi, or any other spiritual leader is not to take your place. Do you understand that? You can't just go out there and just tell these people, I'm going to send my children vacation Bible school. I'm going to send them to the mosque. Or I'm going to send them to any other organization. Let them talk to them and let them do it and that. No, that's not their job. Their job is not to raise your children. The school's job is not to raise your children. That's your responsibility. You are the first dominant male that child should see. You are the male that child should most respect throughout their life. They should be highly sensitive to disappointing you, highly sensitive to going against things that you never put into that goes against your constitution. Now, I'm not talking about children making mistakes. They're going to make mistakes. Young adults are going to make mistakes, and they're gonna get out there and try those things. And sometimes they're going to go against your will and your wishes and everything. But know this: they needed to go. No matter how much they messed up, or no matter what crazy decision they made, or no matter how much they went against their way, they need to know that I can go to dad. I can come to my dad. If I get to my father, he's going to listen to me. He's not going to judge me. I always have a home. I can always go back to my father. I can always call my father. And when you have that, that is such an extraordinary gift. So we want to celebrate fatherhood. We want to celebrate the presence and the voice of fathers. For those of you who are out there doing it right, we definitely salute you over here. Find ways to win. Keep doing that. Being vital. That your job does not end when that child turns 18 years old. No, it doesn't. You are a father for life, and you are an important figure in the aspirations and development and the shaping and the productivity of your children. Don't forget that. It's a privilege to be a father. It is a great honor. There are many people who would like to be fathers like myself. That hasn't happened yet. But we can see the bonds that parents have with their children. We can observe that, and it's something to be admired, and it's something to be respected. Um, Once again, ladies, get on one accord. Don't belittle that child's father. I don't care how angry you are. You're that angry, go ahead and get counsel. Go ahead and talk to someone. And father, if you're doing something to make angry, you need to stop, because the children are watching you. Nothing, and I repeat, nothing disturbs the harmony of a child than to see their mother and their father constantly going at each other's throat, because they love both of you and they don't want to be put in that position. But unfortunately, sometimes they don't have a choice, especially when they're extremely young. Make a decision, Dad, that I'm going to be involved in my child's life. I don't care if I got to cut back more time. I got to cut back on the job. I got to cut back on pursuing this next promotion and things like that. Whatever you need to do that. Make sure that your child knows that you are there for them. Father, you're in the household and you're paying all the bills and you're getting things done, but you're delegating your authority to your wife or your woman, and they're looking at, hey, I'm just going to ask mom. You are giving away your authority. You are negating your authority, and you will be judged for that, because you are the head of that household. And knowing that should give you a sense of pride and admiration. Remember, Dad, if you're not shaping your children, someone else is, and you may not like the outcome. Now you're sitting up and scratching your head. Now you're frustrated. Now you're sitting up there having such a pains of regret, and sometimes even anger about the road they're traveling in, because you wasn't there. You wasn't doing your job. So start get on your job. The child didn't ask to be here. The child didn't ask to be here, but they need you. We appreciate you guys hearing me out. Thank you very much for tuning in. I appreciate you, Mr. Richmond, Mr. James. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Please hit that subscribe button, like, and share. Until next time, thank you for tuning in to Find Ways to Win. Have an awesome day.